Good morning. Today we will start a new chapter, that is branch accounting. First of all, why a branch? Then we will come to what is a branch. Nowadays, as you know, every businessman tries to expand his sales. By the modern ways, modern techniques of advertising, they are becoming able to capture or extend the market to a larger area. Suppose in Bhubaneswar, you have got one shop in Rajmahal area, but again you have decided to open one in Patia area, one more in Lingaraj, in front of Lingaraj temple. Like this, if you open your branches, then you can easily expand your business and also the profit. Therefore, the branches along with the head office will have to work. So, coming to the definition of a branch may be defined as a section of an enterprise geographically separated from the rest of the business and controlled by a head office. So, this is the definition of a branch. It is a section, it is not the whole, it is a section of an enterprise. If an enterprise is there, that is in the bigger form, it can have different branches, or that refers to a section geographically separated from the rest of the business. So, it is away from the business, the headquarters, the head office. So, the head office is the controlling authority, but there are different branches. Then the branches do not enjoy any legal entity. The legal entity is always with the head office. It is controlled, clearly identifiable profit centers. These are clearly identifiable profit centers. The branches are clearly identifiable profit centers, but they do not have their own entity. In order to exercise greater control over the branches, it is necessary to ascertain their individual profits and losses, because if there are 5 branches, 3 branches are making profit and 2 branches are making huge losses, then we can say there is no point in opening the branches. That is a wrong statement, because these 3 branches are making profit, another 2 branches are not making profit but loss. So, how can we make responsible these ones for those 2 branches who are making losses? But how to calculate the losses or profits, how to interpret that, how to analyze that? First of all, we have to prepare the branch accounts. So, branch accounts, branch 1, branch 2, branch 3, they are giving us profits. Branch 4 and branch 5, they are giving us losses. So, let us close down those 2 branches, but do not close these profit making organizations or profit making branches, number 1, number 2 and number 3. The system of accounting again practiced in the head office and the branch vary between different enterprises in accordance with their types of activities, then number 2, methods of operation, and number 3, preference of management. So, the accounting which you are going to do of the branches, that is branch accounting, there are various methods of branch accounting which we will discuss now, but why there are so many types of branch accounting? Because the types of activities run by different business firms are different. Someone is a mining organization, another is a industry, that means your manufacturing organization, another is a trading organizations. So, depending on that, depending on the activities, it will differ. Secondly, the methods of operation is also different. So, due to various methods they are using of operating the business, naturally the accounting will be required, will be different. Then preference of management. If the management prefers to switch over from one to another type, they can also do. So, depending on three factors, there will be different types of different methods of or different systems of accounting. Now, before that, let us discuss first of all what are the different types of branches. Types of branches. So, first they will be divided to home branch and foreign branch. If the head office is in India, but it wants to open branches in Japan, in US or in UK, then naturally those branches are foreign branches. Similarly, if the head office is situated in USA and they open one branch in Chennai or say Mumbai or in Bhubaneswar, then that becomes a foreign branch for them. Now, these home branches again may be divided into two categories depending on the types of accounting they prefer. So, one is dependent branches, another is independent branches. A foreign branch is always an independent branch. Anyway, coming to the home branches, there are some dependent branches, there are some who are independent branches. What does it mean? It means if the branches do not keep any accounts, but they depend solely on the head office for maintaining the accounts, it is called a dependent branch. On the other hand, if the branch is equipped enough, able enough to have its own set of double entry bookkeeping, then it is called independent branch. The head office maintains their own accounts, the branch also makes their own accounts. Then the branch accounts are incorporated in the books of the head office. So, this is the second type, that is independent branches. Now, under dependent branches, we will read four types of accounting. One, debtor system. Then stock and debtor system, then you have got final account system, and then wholesale branch system. So, in this way we have got four types: number 1 debtor system, number 2 stock and debtor system, number 3 final account system, and number 4 wholesale branch system. So, if we read all these things, then only we can cover the branch accounting, different types of branch accounting. Now, let us come to first of all what are the characteristics of dependent branches, then we will come to the debtor system itself. The dependent branches are the branches who do not keep full system of their accounting, they are called the dependent branches, and we are going to read the characteristics of dependent branches. The first characteristic is usually they sell goods supplied by the head office. So, they do not purchase anything, these branches, these dependent branches, they do not purchase anything, and usually they sell the goods supplied by the head office, and that too they sell it at the price quoted by the head office. They do not know what is the cost, what is the invoice price, etc. They have to sell it according to the instructions of the head office. So, here sometimes of course, in order to fulfill the need of some local people, they may purchase, if they receive one good contract for which they do not have sufficient stock with them, they can purchase it locally with the permission of the head office. Without the permission of the head office, they cannot purchase any goods. Secondly, goods are supplied by the head office either at cost price or at invoice price. Goods are supplied either by head office either at cost price or at invoice price. If suppose the cost of the goods are 100 rupees per unit, but the head office sets it at 120 rupees, that means at an inflated rate, that is called invoice price. So, at any price, either at the cost price or at the invoice price, according to the policy undertaken by the head office, these goods will be sent. Number 3 is all expenses of the branch are borne by the head office. Suppose the manager's, branch manager's salary or the office rent or some petty expenses, all these expenses will have to be borne by, ultimately borne by the head office. Either the head office issue a check for that amount, or it will be reimbursed, or it will be deducted from the amount already collected from the debtors, or by sale of cash sales, by making a cash sale. So, whatever it may be, ultimately it is the expense of the head office, not of the branch. So, the head office will have to reimburse or will have to give in advance some payments to the head office, to the branch, to the branch. So, the head office will give it to the branch so that the branch can meet its own expenses. The branch need not spend it from its own pocket. Then number 4 is petty expenses. So, one petty cash account will be opened in the books of the branch or with the branch. That petty expenses will have to be borne out of this petty cash. There will be some opening balance of the petty cash, then some amount will be given to the branch manager for petty cash, that will be added, and from that all the petty expenses will be deducted, and whatever remaining, that will be the closing balance of petty cash. In this way, a petty cash account is opened for meeting the petty expenses at the branch. Then all the cash received by the branch, whatever may be the source, will have to be either immediately sent to the head office or will be deposited in the head office account opened in the local branches of any bank. So, if there is a bank, we can open the head office account, and whatever deposits are there, instead of sending it to the head office, suppose the head office is at Delhi and we are at Bhubaneswar, we can remit the amount to Delhi, or we can deposit it in the names of, in the account of the head office opened in our Bhubaneswar branch. So, that can be done, any bank of the city. Then usually the branch manager is expected to sell it for cash, but sometimes credit sales are also allowed, and usually cash sales I have left one point, that is all cash received are to be remitted to head office on the same day. Number 6 is usually cash sales will be there, but sometimes credit sales also can be permitted. Then they do not maintain any books of accounts, but if they want to maintain regarding the stock, regarding the debtors, regarding cash, etc., this will be on memorandum basis. On memorandum basis, these stock accounts, debtors account, cash account may be maintained, but it will not form part of the double entry. So, these are the characteristics of dependent branches. The head office accounts, in the books of the head office we can maintain in 4 ways, that is your branch, that is your debtor system, stock and debtor system, final account system or wholesale branch system. That will discuss. Now, coming to the debtor system. So, under the debtor system, how the entries will be passed, how the journal entries will be passed in the books of the head office, because always we will be doing it in the books of the head office. The first entries will be for when goods are sent to the branch. When goods are sent to the branch, for goods sent to the branch. For goods sent to the branch account will be debitable or will be debited to goods sent to branch. This will be the journal entry. Branch account debited, because all the expenses will have to be charged, all the costs will have to be charged to the branch. This branch is nominal in nature. So, the branch account will give us the profit. How can it give us the profit? If the credit side will be bigger of the branch account than the debit side of the same account, then there will be profit. Let us see. So, first of all, this is the cost of the goods which you are charging to the branch. If it is at invoice price, the branch will be charged at invoice price. Again, some remedy will be done, some your loading will be removed, that we will see. But first of all, a plain branch account will be debited with the goods sent to branch. Then, for return of goods to head office, when the branch, for return by branch, branch to head office. Now, head office receives back some goods which is not up to the standard, or there is some breakage, etc., whatever it may be. If it is returned by the branch to the head office receives it. So, this entry will be just reversed. What will be the entry? Goods sent to branch account debited to branch account. Suppose goods sent to branch was 1000 and goods returned by branch is 200. So, really 800 rupees worth of goods have been transferred to the branch. how that will be accounted for? What will be the closing entry for that? That goods sent to branch account will be closed by transfer to the trading account or to the purchases account. To the purchases account in case of a trading concern and to the trading account in case of a manufacturing concern. So, the entry will be for closing goods sent to branch account with the net value here it will be debited with 800 because out of 1000 credit 200 rupees has been debited, remaining credit was 800. We are debiting goods sent to branch account with 800 so that it will be closed to purchases account. If it is a manufacturing concern, it will not be to purchases account, but to trading account. If it is a trading concern, it will be to purchases account. If it is a manufacturing concern, it will be to trading account. So, this is the entry for closing goods sent to branch. The fourth entry will be when check or draft is sent for branch expenses. To meet the expenses of the branch, if we are sending some check, then what will be the entry? For check sent to the bank for expenses. So, here the branch account will be debited to bank account, because you are issuing the check, bank is the giver, bank account is credited and branch account will be debited because it belongs to the branch, the expenses belongs to the branch. So, these are the entries and number 5 entry will be for when goods are supplied by the branch to another branch under instructions of head office, that means transfer. Transfer of suppose some goods from Bhubaneswar branch to another branch at Puri. So, that will be routed through the head office. So, at that time when goods are transferred from branch A to branch B, here actually the goods will be goods sent to branch account. This is just like a return by branch A to the head office, and the branch A and branch B is getting the goods from the head office. Suppose some 500 rupees worth of goods are sent from branch A to branch B. Imagine one situation where in Delhi the head office is situated, but they have ordered branch A that please transfer some goods from your branch to the Puri branch. So, it need not really go from the goods need not move from Cuttack branch to or Bhubaneswar branch to your Delhi branch, the Delhi head office, and again from Delhi to Puri. It will not be done, physically it will not be done, but the accounts will be done like that. So, here when branch A is giving transferring the goods to branch B, we can write goods sent to branch account debited to branch A account. And again we can pass that entry when branch B is getting it, it can write branch B account debited to goods sent to branch. This will be the entry for transfer. Then when there will be some transit items, cash in transit or goods in transit, always the goods in transit or cash in transit will be an asset, it will be debited. For goods or cash in transit, that will be goods in transit account debited, or cash in transit account debited to branch account. Then for closing balances of assets, branch assets account debited to branch account. For closing balance of branch assets. So, closing balance will always be for closing balances of assets, branch account will be credited and branch assets account will be debited. Similarly, for liabilities, it will be just the opposite, that is branch liabilities. For liabilities, closing balance on the closing date, just the reverse will be there, branch liabilities account debited to branch account. I am sorry, it will be branch account debited to branch liabilities account. Again, reverse entries will be passed at the time of opening the branches. For opening balance of branch assets, that will be branch account debited to branch assets account, and for the opening balance of branch liabilities, branch liability account debited to branch account. So, in this way it will be reversed. Then for remittances by the branch to the head office, the head office is now receiving bank account debited to branch account. So, for these remittances, when cash will be sent by the branch to the head office, where from the branch will get? There are many sources. What are the sources? Number 1, cash sales. Cash sales at the branch will be there. B, cash received from debtors will be there. Then C, cash sales will be there, cash received from debtors will be there. Then sale of fixed assets at the branch, then insurance claim received. So, these are the sources from which the bank manager will get it, but immediately whatever may be the sources, it will be sent to the head office. The head office will receive the amount immediately. Then if there is branch profit or branch loss, what will be the entry? For branch profits, branch account debited, we will be preparing the branch account. If the credit side is bigger, then there is a profit, and that will be recorded in the debit side as branch account debited to general profit and loss account. Actually, general profit and loss account refers to the profit and loss account of the head office. So, the head office profit and loss account is being credited with the amount of profit that the branch, or for that matter different branches, have made. And if there is a loss in the branch, this entry will be just reversed, that will be general profit and loss account debited to branch account. So, these are the entries which will be recorded, which will be getting a place in the branch account, but there are certain items which will not get a place in the branch account. So, what are those things? Transactions which will not be shown in the branch account. We are talking about the branch, debtor system. In the debtor system, transactions which will not be shown in the branch account. So, there are some transactions which will not be shown in the branch account when we are doing the problem on branch, that is your debtors system. So, what are they? First of all, credit sales. Number 1 is credit sales. When credit sale is there, actually the branch debtors account will be debited and the stock will be reduced. So, branch is not coming to picture, branch account will not take a note of this. Second one is normal loss and pilferage. Both normal and abnormal loss should not be shown in branch account while preparing under debtor system. Number 3, returns to branch by debtors. When the debtor of a branch is returning some goods to the branch account is not going to be affected. It is the branch debtors which will be affected. So, customer's account, particular customer account will be created by the branch, and also the branch debtors account will be credited, reduced. So, that is not coming to picture so far as branch account is concerned. The fourth thing is bad debts and discount allowed. Bad debts, discount allowed to the debtors, that will appear in the branch memorandum branch debtors account will prepare, there it will appear, but it will not affect our branch account directly. Then petty expenses paid by the branch. Whatever petty expenses will be incurred by the branch out of the petty cash account, it will not be recorded in the branch account. Why? Because the accounting effect is like this. The branch account will be debited with opening balance of petty cash. Suppose it is 100. Then suppose it is receiving a check of 500 for petty expenses to bank, say 500, that they will record. Suppose out of that 400 rupees or say 550 rupees has been spent, petty expenses are 550. These expenses will not be recorded here, but out of 600, that is 100 opening balance and 500 we have received, 600, 550 is gone, spent. So, 50 rupees is the balance, that will be in the closing balance. By balance carried down, we can write petty cash only 50, this will be recorded. That means automatically this 550 is taken care of, 500 plus 100, 600 minus 50, that is in the credit side, so 550. So, that is accounted for automatically, but directly we are not showing this 550 anywhere in the branch account, that is wrong. Depreciation on fixed assets also will not be shown in the branch account. Then how they are accounted for? They are accounted for like this. Suppose the opening balance of furniture, to opening balance of furniture was 10,000 and we have to provide depreciation at the rate of 10% per annum for the full year. So, that is coming to 1,000. That 1,000 rupees will not be directly shown in the branch account, but will show the closing balance of furniture as 9,000, that is 10,000 minus 9,000, that is 1,000 excess debit is there, that is nothing but the depreciation on the fixed assets, branch fixed assets. So, that will be also automatically accounted for. Do not take it to the branch account directly. Then shortage or surplus of stock, I told you the pilferage, normal loss, abnormal loss, whatever is there, that is not recorded anywhere in the branch account. Automatically, if due to that the debit side will be more. So, if it will not be shown, the credit side will be less and automatically the loss will be there or the profit will be reduced. So, far the branch is concerned. So, do not write any shortage or surplus of stock there. Then profit or loss on sale of fixed assets. Similarly, when a fixed asset is sold, it will be accounted for automatically. Do not write the profit on sale of the fixed assets or profit or loss on the sale of fixed assets. Then purchases by branch. If the branch purchases something, that will not be recorded directly, but the amount of remittance will be less. So, that will be reduced from the total amount received by the branch in the credit side of the branch account, automatically it will be reduced. The remaining amount only will be sent to the head office. Then discounts, when a bills receivable is discounted in the bank. Suppose the branch has got some amount, collected some amount from the debtors in way of a bill of exchange. When the bills receivable has been received, the debtors account has been credited, will be reduced. But so what about the bills receivable? Suppose the bills receivable is discounted in a bank account will be debited. So, at that time there will be some loss on account of discount, because before the date of maturity, if you go to the bank to discount a bills receivable, the bank will deduct something, that we call discount, that is our loss, but that is automatically reflected. Do not write it anywhere in the branch account. Then this closing balance of branch assets and liabilities will be shown directly in the head office balance sheet. So, there will be opening balance, there will be closing balance, and these will appear respectively in the last year's balance sheet and the current year balance sheet. So, these are the formats, these are the technicalities of preparing the branch account under the debtor system. Now, we will prepare one branch account. Just what is the format of the branch account under the debtor system? So, on the basis of the journal entries which we have already made, we can prepare mainly two accounts in the books of head office. One branch account and the branch, in order to know the balance of debtors at the end, or if something is there, what are the different transactions taking place between the branch debtors and branch, they can prepare one branch account, but we will call it memorandum branch debtors account, because it is not to be prepared by the branch, but branch prepares it privately for their purpose only. So, that we will call it memorandum branch debtors account. First of all, the opening balances will be there in the branch account. To opening balance of all the assets. What are the assets? It may be opening stock, or you can write directly stock, debtors, then branch furniture, all these branch assets opening balances will be recorded here, even the petty cash also, petty cash balance on the opening date, petty cash account, all these things will be added and written here. Similarly, all the branch liabilities, if suppose there is some outstanding expenses or something, that you can write by opening balance of outstanding expenses, that can be written there. Similarly, at the end of the year, this opening balance will become the closing balance and these figures will be changed. There we can write by closing balance of stock, debtors, furniture and petty cash, whatever balance is there. Similarly, if there is a credit balance like outstanding expenses, we can write to closing balance of liabilities, outstanding expenses, that we can write. Then what are the common items? The common item is to goods sent to branch. And if there is a return, it will be by goods sent to branch. Do not confuse that it is goods sent to branch, it is goods returned by the branch to the head office, but we will write the same account's name, that is goods sent to branch. Then to the expenses, for branch expenses we will write to bank expenses. What can be the expenses? It can be salary, it can be rent, it can be anything like that, that will write. Then we can have in this side by bank, actually received from different sources, like received from, how the bank will give? Bank will receive something from different persons like cash sales, then received from debtors, then received from sale of fixed assets. If there is some claim received from the insurance company, insurance claim, all these items will be recorded here. So, these are the examples which will appear in the branch account. On the basis of this, we will find out if this side is bigger, there will be profit, and the profit will be to general profit and loss account within bracket profit. And of course, if this debit side is bigger, there will be loss, we can write by profit and loss account, by general profit and loss account loss. So, this is the format of branch account, and how the memorandum branch debtors account will look like. What are the items in the memorandum branch debtors account? It will be to balance brought down, the opening balance, and closing balance will be by balance carried down. Then you can have credit sales, to credit sales, by return inwards, both the returns. One return is from the branch customers, branch debtors to the branch or to the head office, both the things will appear here, return inwards. Then by bad debts, by discount, allowances, etc. That will be recorded there in the memorandum branch debtors account. When they give some amount to the branch, that will be credited by bank. So, all these things will appear in the memorandum branch debtors account. So, with this background, let us close today's chapter, and next time we will be discussing a problem on this very format. Please try to understand this format, and on this format we will be working out a problem. Thank you.